going on, folks? Celebrity health expert Obi here. Wanted to talk to you about how much muscle can you gain naturally. You know, there's so many people out there that will make a claim that they were able to gain muscle in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, their 70s. A lot of fake natties on YouTube, a lot of fake natties on social media, and they'll make it seem that you can gain muscle forever and ever and ever. That's it. You can just continue to gain muscle and there's no limits. Well, I'm here to tell you that's BS. That is not true. There are limits. There's a thing called genetic potential. And your genetic potential is going to be how much you've tapped into your genetic potential is going to be how your experience level as a lifter. If you're someone that's been lifting, if you're in advanced training, you've been lifting for more than 10 years, you're pretty much close to your genetic potential. And your lean muscle mass gain is going to be it's going to be minimal to zero. Okay, you're going to make the most lean muscle mass gain your very first year. Okay, your first year of training, you're going to make the biggest gains your first year. The biggest gains. All right, if you're a newbie, someone that's never worked out, someone that's never trained, you're going to gain significantly more muscle than me, who has been training for, over 20 years, 25 years, okay? So the natural lean muscle mass growth for someone who is a beginner is anywhere from 1 to 1.5% of your body weight per month. That's how much muscle you'll gain if you're a beginner fitness enthusiast. If you're an intermediate, it's 0.5% to 1% of your body weight per month as far as the amount of muscle you're going to gain. And then if you're an advanced trainee, it's anywhere from 0.25% to 0.5% of your body weight per month of how much muscle you're going to gain. All right. And how you want to determine between beginner and intermediate and advanced is based on how many years of experience you've been training. So if you're beginner level, it's probably 6 months or less training experience. Okay. If you're intermediate, it's probably about maybe 2 years of training experience. And if you're advanced, it's anywhere more than 3 to 4 years of training experience. So the longer that you've been lifting, the less muscle you're going to be able to gain. All right. That's basically how it goes. And then once you've been lifting for more than 5-6 years, you're getting close to your genetic potential. All right. The average of somebody, maybe with normal genetics, as far as how much muscle they can gain, a natural lifter, if you're a guy, lifetime, it's probably about 35 to 40 pounds of muscle lifetime. That's it. If you're a female natural lifter, maybe about 25 to 30 pounds of muscle lifetime. All right. If you're natural, no PEDs, nothing. If you're natural. So there's limits to that. And also people need to understand that when you're trying to gain muscle, it's to your advantage to be in a caloric surplus. It's going to be a lot easier for you to gain muscle is being a caloric surplus, basically consuming more calories above that's needed to maintain your body weight, caloric surplus. I have had clients that have been able to gain muscle even in the maintenance caloric phase and even in a deficit. All right. I have had clients that have been able to gain muscle, but it wasn't like a big spike. It was small amounts, but I have seen it. But those clients their protein intake was pretty high. It was more than a gram of pound per, it was more than, I believe, a gram of protein per pound, excuse me. So their protein intake was a lot higher for the clients that I've had that were in the maintenance phase and in the caloric deficit phase. But typically, if you're trying to gain muscle, it's helpful to be in a caloric surplus. So those are what's reasonable. And I think it's so important as experts, health and wellness experts, to be so honest about what realistically you can gain, as opposed to saying that, well, you know what, I'm gaining muscle in my 50s and 60s. You probably, let me correct that. You can gain muscle in your 50s and 60s. How? If you stop working out, right? You stop working out and all of a sudden what happens? You atrophy, you lose muscle, right? So let's say, for example, you're 55 years old, all right? You've been training for over 25, 30 years, right? And you stop lifting for like Let's say you just stop working out for 2 years, right? What happens? You're going to atrophy. You're going to lose muscle. And then after that 2 years, you start working out, you start lifting again. What's going to happen? You are going to gain muscle while you're in your 50s. You're gaining the muscle back that you lost. That's how it works. The muscle that the atrophy, you losing that muscle during that time frame that you weren't working out for 2 years, you can gain that muscle back. So yes, you can gain muscle in your 50s and 60s and 70s. That's if you stopped working out and you started to lose the muscle that you gained while you were at your genetic potential. So we all have a genetic potential and ceiling. And with consistency over time and training, and you've been training for more than 10 years, you're going to get at your genetic potential, and that's it. All right? You're not going to just grow muscle every year until you're 80 or 90. That's not how it works. It's like we all have a potential of how tall we are based on our genetics, and that's it. We can't get any taller than that. It's the same thing with lean muscle mass, with gaining muscle. So just understand there are limits to muscle growth. But at the end of the day, once we get to our genetic potential, what is the goal? The goal is to maintain it, is to prevent the decline that would happen as we get older. And the way that you maintain it is exercise consistently, eating enough calories, making sure you get enough protein in your body and have a balanced, healthy diet, get enough sleep and recovery to continue to maintain your lean muscle mass as you get older and as you age. So those are the limits to how much muscle that you can gain naturally. Lifetime on an average is between 35 to 40 pounds of muscle lifetime. That's the most you can gain, and that's it. There are people that have done more than that. I know myself, the most that I believe I'm probably around 45 to 50 pounds that I've gained lifetime. I think it's about 50 pounds. I started off, I was 167 pounds at 167 pounds at 17 years old when I started lifting. And my heaviest weight at still maintaining a body fat under 10% was about 217 pounds at single digit body fat. So that's about 50 pounds that I've gained, total on an average lifetime. And that's pretty realistic. That's a little bit above the average. Okay. And that's what you realistically can do naturally. So if anyone's telling you that they gain, muscle in their 50s and 60s and they've been lifting for 25, 30 years, it's a bunch of hogwash. And if they did, they weren't natural. They were taking drugs and steroids and PEDs and, doing all this, illegal stuff to get there. But naturally, it's just not possible. Unless you're from Krypton, unless you're Kryptonian, you're Superman, then maybe you can. So anyway, I hope that helps. I hope that debunks all of that. For anyone that's interested in any of my coaching programs, click on the link on the description. Subscribe and like the channel if you like this. I hope you guys loved this video. Take care.